Welcome to today's event, wherever you're joining us from around the world. My name is Nick Hardman-Mountford. I'm the Head of Oceans and Natural Resources at the Commonwealth Secretariat. And it's my pleasure to welcome you today, and thanks for joining us. Also, many thanks to those who've been able to submit their ideas to the Hack the Planet competition so far. It has been wonderful to see so many planet-changing ideas being submitted. In response to this, and as we understand there are many more who are keen to submit their ideas, we're pleased to announce that we've extended the closing date to June the 11th, at the end of World Ocean Day week. Today, I'm very excited that we're able to unveil the additional support that is being provided to the competition from our sponsors. Innovation happens when we work together and spark off each other. So having world-leading innovators join our team will really help you develop your ideas into planet-saving solutions. The Earth is in crisis, particularly through disruption to its climate and destruction of biodiversity. And the ocean is at the heart of these challenges. The ocean sustains all human life, supplying more than half the oxygen we breathe, vital nutrition for at least 4 billion people, and generates a global ocean economy turning over 2.5 trillion each year. More than this, the asset value of the ocean, taking account of the goods and services provided by ocean processes and ecosystems, has been valued at a staggering $24 trillion. These processes include elements that have significantly protected us so far from the effects of climate change, taking up a large amount of the carbon dioxide emissions we've produced, about a third of them in total, and nearly all the excess heat that's resulted, about 90% of it, has been buried in the deep ocean. Yet the ocean's ability to absorb these impacts and protect us is declining. And an estimated 150 to 200 million tons of plastic pollution continues to suffocate the marine environment, with another 8 million tons added each year. So these trends have devastating effects on marine health and ecosystems, impacting the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the livelihoods of billions of people. So now we need to look to those on the front line, those in low-lying coastal countries and islands, to those sitting directly in the path of hurricanes and cyclones, to those losing access to fresh water because of seawater inundation or loss of food and livelihoods due to declining availability of fish. We need to look to you to share with us your ideas for what will make a difference. All of us will be impacted, and all of us have ideas on what needs to be fixed. The Commonwealth spans the globe. 36% of the waters under national jurisdiction in the ocean are in the Commonwealth, and we have a third of the world's population. We also have the majority of the world's small states in the Commonwealth. So this is a crisis that we feel very acutely. It's also one that this generation is facing. It is ours to clean up the mess that the generations before, and my generation as well, have created. So let's step up to this challenge together. And we are seeing amazing examples of innovation across the Commonwealth every day, because the Commonwealth is a solutions-focused organisation. We're always looking to hack the way we deliver multilateral assistance, finding new approaches that deliver to the most pressing needs of our countries. And the Commonwealth is also a learning organisation, all about sharing experiences and learning from what those solutions that others around us have come up with and how we can do things better. We do this by collaborating on opportunities such as the Hack the Planet competition, by providing platforms for your ideas, and hopefully in the process by inspiring many others to find solutions to global challenges. Solutions that bring together our shared values to address the challenges of our one shared ocean. The Commonwealth Blue Charter was launched in just this fashion back in 2018, and we have 54 governments working together to tackle their shared ocean challenges, focused on the 10 action group areas. We now seek your inputs to these challenge areas to work with your governments to come up with the solutions we need. Because these action groups provide a platform for everyone to get involved. So as we combine these ideas with the unprecedented view of the Earth and the global connectivity that we have from satellite technologies and the power of advanced digital technologies to connect us all. We want to bring teams together from across the world, together with our sponsors, these leading innovators in satellite technology, digital services, and agile business models, to together come up with the most innovative, impactful, and scalable ocean solutions. And now we need you, the innovators, to get involved with your ideas. Of course, there's prize money to help the winner and the runners-up to take their idea forward. We have 10,000 for the winner, 5,000 for each of 2 runners-up. But every team in the competition will be a winner, in the sense that this experience will enhance and develop your ability to bring lasting and impactful change to the challenges the world is facing. The Commonwealth is honoured to partner with Satellite Applications Catapult and our wonderful sponsors, and looks forward to providing the springboard that you need to turn your solutions into tangible on-the-water actions. And now it's my pleasure to hand over to Lucy Edge, the Chief Operating Officer of the Satellite Applications Catapult. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you very much, Nick, and welcome to everyone listening to this session today, wherever you are in the world. I must add my huge thanks to the 4 organisations who have joined us today to talk about their involvement in this competition. Amazon Web Services, Deloitte, Maxar, and Planet are 4 remarkable companies with international reputations. As well as looking forward to hearing what they have to say, I'm also excited about the impact their support for Hack the Planet will have on you, our competition participants. All have vast expertise to share in the types of ocean challenges that you'll be addressing through your ideas in Hack the Planet. When we launched the competition, I said that we were looking for fresh thinking and for people who want to step forward to be the change that we all know that we need. I also said that your ideas do not need to be complete, because if you are successful, we will link you up with some of the brightest minds in the worlds of ocean sustainability and space to help them become real. I'm delighted to say that Amazon Web Services, Deloitte, Maxar and Planet will work with you to help that happen. We want and need to achieve major international impact, and these global partnerships are key. Hack the Planet is a vital part of our catapult activities in the year of COP26 in Glasgow. Satellites are uniquely placed to monitor, to measure, and to support decision-making on climate impacts, and to help mankind mitigate the effects of human influence on Earth. By demonstrating the innovative ways satellites can be used to combat climate change, we can help to stimulate that change we want to see. From monitoring greenhouse gases or sea level rise, air and sea temperature variations, to supporting disaster relief activities, satellites are an essential part of our shared future solutions. And through activities like Hack the Planet, we will stimulate discussion and intervention, and hopefully create long-lasting partnerships to deliver major impacts to the climate change agenda. I'd like to share an example with you. It's a project called Common Sensing, working with the United Nations, and it's where we first met the team from the Commonwealth Secretariat. Perhaps it will help stimulate some new ideas for you. Common Sensing is an international project based on a partnership between Fiji, Vanuatu, and the Solomon Islands, and a group of international organisations. We're working together to build and support climate resilience through enhanced decision-making using satellite remote sensing technology. Real information about climate impacts from satellites is being used to help the governments and the international community make the decisions they need to make in the face of the sea level rises, the increasingly violent storms and saltwater ingress, the flooding, and so much more in those countries. We are particularly focused on reducing the risk from natural disasters, enhancing the food security, enhancing the resilience to climate change, and perhaps most critically, providing the insights to improve the access to climate finance, vital funding for communities to become more resilient to the effects of climate change. I hope this real example has got your innovation brain cells limbered up for the main event. And to kick off with our sponsors today, let me hand over to Clive Charlton from Amazon Web Services. Clive is Head of Solution Architecture for Sub-Saharan Africa and leads a dynamic team of solutions architects to bring the latest in disruptive, cutting-edge cloud computing technologies for that region. Thank you, Clive.
Thank you very much, Lucy. So I just want to start off by just sharing my screen. Hopefully you can all see that.
Perfect, Clive. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. I wanted to give you a brief overview of AWS in space, and in some of the examples of how our customers are using AWS to advance their space missions. The world is entering an exciting and daring new space age. The space industry is rapidly growing and transforming in many different areas of space. For example, a new era of human spaceflight is dawning. It's estimated that the number of satellites launched into orbit will quintuple over the next decade. The cloud is enabling space industry success by driving down the cost of innovation. And we do this because you only pay for what you use. Customers are able to manage and transform data on Earth and in space with low latency access to global cloud infrastructure. This helps our customers manage and protect their valuable space assets. And we do this with edge computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Internet of Things. And we provide a modernized infrastructure and processes so that you can focus on your mission. Earth observation using satellite images has the power to solve the world's biggest problems by monitoring change. For example, government agencies can use ocean data to get a complete picture when a natural disaster such as a hurricane or flood strikes. The use of that information to hasten recovery efforts. Governments can monitor changes on the planet's surface, highlight the impact of wildlife, and inform efforts to protect endangered species. Scientists can measure soil moisture to better forecast crop yields and prevent famine. Near immediate access to satellite data is critical in these scenarios, yet most traditional ground stations can take up to 24 hours to complete tasking, schedule satellite passes, establish uplinks to the satellite, downlink and process data, and deliver the imagery. Since most traditional satellites are launched into specific orbits, they risk to observing the Earth only for a few hours a day so that they can accurately observe changes in conditions that require continual monitoring, such as crop health and weather forecasting. They're also stymied by weather issues and darkness and can't see 75% of the Earth's surface. Finally, in order to download satellite data, when and where they need it, customers invest in multiple geolocated ground stations, which are costly to operate and maintain, or they have to wait for a satellite to pass over a desired location. Capella Space receives requests from customers for satellite imagery over specific areas of interest, or AOIs, via a web application or an API. Imaging tasks are routed to Capella satellites via geosynchronous communications relay, and data downlink contacts are scheduled with AWS ground station using a scheduling API. Capella satellites orbit over AOIs and position themselves for the tasks which range between small millimeter scale change detection to large area collection. As Capella satellites complete their imaging tasks and continue on their orbit, the satellites downlink the synthetic aperture radar data into the AWS cloud, where it gets processed into high quality satellite imagery for rapid delivery. By using AWS, Capella has improved the recency of satellite data by downlinking their raw satellite data to AWS cloud through the AWS ground station and making that data readily available to their customers within minutes. As a fully managed service, AWS ground station lets Capella Space teams control satellite communications, process data, and scale its operations without having to worry about building or managing its own ground infrastructure. By entrusting its ground station infrastructure to AWS, Capella can focus its staff on innovating with new applications that process, analyze, and distribute satellite data. As part of the Amazon Sustainability Data Initiative, AWS is supporting Digital Earth Africa. Digital Earth Africa is enabling African nations to track changes across the continent in unprecedented detail by making Earth observation data more easily accessible. This will provide valuable insights for better decision-making around prevention and planning in areas including flooding, droughts, soil and coastal erosion, agriculture, forest cover, land use, land cover change, water availability, quality, and changes to human settlements. The Sustainable Development Data Revolution allows for the fusion of different technologies from satellites, mobile phones, cloud computing, and machine learning, making available unprecedented volumes of data to support decision-making. Despite these advantages, data availability, accessibility, quality, usability, disaggregation, and timeliness are still challenges for many countries. Several factors are helping unlock the vast potential for information to address national development priorities. Operational satellites are providing routine coverage. Free and open data policies remove legal and cost barriers to data access. Analysis-ready data is removing pre-processing burden users, and computing and storage costs are decreasing, and cloud architectures are becoming more mainstream. In addition, the Open Data Cube enables continental scale analysis and web services driven visualizations over a complete time series of data. Digital Earth Africa is using openly accessible and freely available Earth observation data and the Open Data Cube technology to produce and make accessible decision-ready products. Digital Earth Africa will deliver a continental scale platform and program that democratizes the capacity to process and analyze satellite data. The Amazon Sustainability Data Initiative is committing to support Digital Earth Africa by providing storage of large data sets, including Copernicus Sentinel-2 and USGS Landsat satellite imagery in the New Africa region in Cape Town. When data is shared on AWS, anyone can analyze it and build services on top of it, using a broad range of compute and data analytics products, including Amazon EC2, Amazon Athena, AWS Lambda, and many more. Sharing data in the cloud lets data users spend more time on the data analysis rather than data acquisition. The registry of open data on AWS makes it easy to find datasets made publicly available through AWS services. The AWS ground station network continues to grow, and we're delighted to have Seoul and Korea recently added to our growing network. We're delighted to work with the Satellite Application Catapult in support of this amazing, exciting project. AWS Cloud provides infrastructure globally for workloads to run either on the cloud or at the edge. The Commonwealth is a global organization, and the importance of the blue economy is especially pertinent. And with the growing volume of data available now and the new developments with ground stations, machine learning, AI, IoT with Greengrass, or simply tapping into AWS Earth Open Data Stack, customers can move faster with greater agility when developing projects on the cloud. So AWS will provide $25,000 worth of credits to the winning project and $10,000 worth of AWS credits to the runners-up, ready to use anywhere on our global infrastructure. With that, I would like to thank you for your time and hand over to our next speaker, who is Haley Mardell, a sales engineer from Maxar. Haley, over to you.
Thanks very much, Clive. Hi, everyone. So as Clive just said, I'm a sales engineer at Maxar. If you mind, just share my screen. Okay, can you see that okay?
Perfect. Thank you, Lucy. I mean, Haley.
No worries. Yeah, so as I said, I'm from Maxwell, sales engineer based in London. And we're really excited to be a part of this competition. So one of our main purposes is for a better world, which is exactly what we saw this competition was obviously trying to achieve. So Maxar as an organisation is both a space infrastructure and Earth intelligence company. What we'll be focusing on today is the use of Earth intelligence and how that could be used within this competition. Oh, it's not letting me change slide at the moment, just bear with me a second. Already going to jump slide or something, there we go. So we have our own constellation of satellites, which I'll touch on in a minute. But what we do is we either provide the data in its raw format. We're able to provide that data by itself with additional information layers to allow customers to do additional analysis themselves, or we complete that analysis ourselves and provide that to the customer for those that don't have those analysis capabilities in-house. We can either deliver that data via FTP, for example, or we have a number of different online data subscriptions as well, such as our Secure Watch subscription, which allows you to have access to our full archive of content. And that full archive of content is now over 20 years old, which is over 125 petabytes in size. So we currently have 4 satellites in constellation, which are collecting over 3 million square kilometers of imagery each day. We also have imagery in our archive as well from our previous satellites from Aws Cloud and WellView 4. So all of our satellites, they either collect 30 centimeter or 50 centimeter imagery, making us the highest spatial resolution commercial provider of satellite imagery. So our WellView 1 satellite collects panchromatic 50 centimeter imagery. GeoEye's 4 bands, and that is multispectral imagery at 50 centimeter. And then going up, we've got WellView 2 and WellView 3, which both collect imagery at 8 bands, and also WellView 2 is up to 40 centimeter resolution, whereas WellView 3 is 30 centimeter resolution. Soon coming, we've got our Legion constellation, which will be released later this year, with 2 will be going up to constellation, with the remainder going up at the beginning of next year. So with, just wanted to touch on one more thing actually on WellView 3. So although we have the 8 bands of the WellView 2 and the WellView 3 also has an additional 8 bands in the SWIR region. And that allows you to identify different material types, for example, of identifying plastics compared to other materials as well. So to touch more on our Legion constellation, which will be going up, as I said, later this year and the beginning of next year, there'll be 6 satellites. We'll be continuing that 30 centimeter resolution. It'll be down to 1.5 meter pointing accuracy, continuing with those 8 spectral bands, which similarly WellView 2 and WellView 3 have. And it'll be increasing that temporal resolution as well. It's up to 15 revisits a day. And currently we've got that 3 million square kilometers capacity that'll be increasing up to 5 million square kilometer capacity each day. So I wanted to show you an example now of that 30 centimeter resolution imagery. This is a vessel out at sea, and you can see the how clear the imagery content is going through the ocean. And to put it more into context for this competition as well, as you can see the actual plastic and debris on the beach, you can actually identify that by eye through the satellite imagery. And this is Camilo Beach, which is one of the most polluted beaches in the world. Another example as well, in Guanabara Bay in Brazil, you can actually identify all of the debris that is in the water itself. And this is again our 30 centimeter imagery to see that high resolution content. I wanted to introduce as well a previous study that was done to look to see whether whether our SWIR bands could identify plastics within water. They can identify them on land, and the study found that by having those submerged, it was more difficult and you couldn't identify the SWIR content once that the different plastics are inundated. However, when those plastics are floating, they can be identified, and you can identify those from different material types as well. So for those macroplastics, this could be something that could be utilized to give you a bit of inspiration as to what could be done. Another example of a customer we've worked with is the Ocean Cleanup project. And this is Wilson going underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. And again, this highlights that high resolution imagery and Wilson being tugged out into the sea. This is Wilson in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch as well. And we were monitoring as it was on its way to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and monitoring its location and its integrity of the whole system. And also to identify whether the Ocean Cleanup could identify plastics automatically with their imagery, which they're currently still working on and looking towards identifying that within rivers as well. And the last main story that I wanted to focus on as well is the capability to identify illicit activity occurring out in the ocean. So we've done this in multiple ways, and it's actually being rolled out as a product coming up underneath the name of Crow's Nest, where we're identifying where, for example, transshipment is occurring. And this can be identified. So all vessels above a certain size are meant to give off an AIS signal. And with that, they have an MMSI number. It can be done that if someone was looking over a certain area and they want to collect continuous imagery, either with SAR or multispectral, you can correlate the AIS with the multispectral imagery to identify whether it's a dark vessel or not. You can then look into doing some further analysis to determine what ship is there and whether it's likely that illicit activity is occurring in those instances. We can either do tipping and queuing from identifying where there's no IS signal and where we're seeing boats within the multispectral imagery. Alternatively, with SAR, which is often has a wider field of view, we can collect that content, correlate that with the AIS to identify where there are dark vessels where AIS signals are not being carried out, to then cue the imagery of the multispectral imagery to get this very high resolution imagery to identify where illicit activity could be occurring. And this has been used by the Indonesian Navy previously to actually go out and deploy vessels to bring those back into shore. So that's the main things that I wanted to cover today. So I look forward to hearing any questions that you have, and good luck with your submissions. I'd like to hand over now to Jessica O'Neill from Deloitte, who's a consultant for the Climate Change and Environment Studio. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks Hayley. Afternoon everyone, thanks so much for having me to speak here today. So a bit of context, I guess, first about Deloitte Ventures. Slightly different to the other presentations on the call. We're not a technology provider, we're a consultancy, and we specifically focus on innovation that applies to climate change and sustainability challenges, so very much suitable to this conversation. And we either work with a sort of big scale alliances like Google, SAP, Salesforce, AWS, who we have on the call, and we kind of help them deliver their technology with our clients. Or alternatively, we work with startups and edge innovators like people applying to this challenge today. And we very much help you guys develop your proposition, think about how your ideas can apply to either our clients' challenges, or perhaps we can sort of do an amazing showcase event to create exposure and eminence for your wonderful ideas. And, you know, programs like Hack the Planet are really, really exciting to us because it gives us a great chance to connect with the community, see what kind of weird and wonderful ideas are out there, and help you sort of shape those and develop them. And I guess we work with a huge range of different scale-ups and startups, and whether that's more early stage ideas and more figuring out, okay, how do we best articulate this? What is the best use case for this idea? Or alternatively, we'll work with larger scale-ups, which hopefully we can get you guys to. And that will be about, you've already got your clients, you've already tested your technology. How can we then scale it, you know, across different geographies or up to different use cases as well? And we actually run quite a similar accelerator to Hack the Planet, which we call Gravity Challenge. And that focuses on satellite technology and space technology. And we invite our clients and our challenge, and we call them challenge owners, into the accelerator, and they submit specific challenges that their business faces. And then we invite innovators to apply. So very, very similar. And what we've learned through that program is definitely what we're going to take through into Hack the Planet. And we're going to run some workshops with you in July to think about how we can make sure that we're getting the best out of those ideas, that we're really, excuse me, that we're really articulating in a way that will resonate and it addresses the challenge at its core. And some exciting stuff that's come out of the Gravity Challenge that we run, which I think will be interesting to this audience. So in our last program that we ran last year, we had one submission from a challenge owner from the UK Hydrographic Office, which was about how we can track and monitor the ecosystem health of mangroves. So that was all about using satellite imagery to check that the mangroves were healthy, that how much carbon was sequestered in them, because actually mangroves sequester a huge amount of carbon. And then perhaps looking to the future, how can we then trade and offset carbon into those mangroves, and other companies can invest in that program. Another challenge that we had was around allowing small-scale fisheries to certify that they were farming sustainably, which is a huge issue for the global south. And that again used satellite imagery technology to track ships and the fishermen so that they could say, yes, we are farming in the correct areas and we are farming sustainably. And that then gives them the opportunity to give that sort of stamp of certification on their products. And that's a pilot that we're actually setting up in the next few months to really scale and test that technology. And then another pilot that we actually launched last month in May was with Bardsley, who have apple orchards. And essentially, we worked with an innovator called Triconomy, who used drone technology to create a 3D model of the apple orchards, and then used the LiDAR technology to, again, measure and monitor how much carbon was sequestered in the orchard. And the way Bardsley were currently doing it was super inefficient. They were actually cutting down the trees and burning them to figure out how much carbon was sequestered in there. And by using this satellite imagery, we can then scale it, and we don't have to cut anything down, which is perfect. And I think that just gives you an idea of how these programs can actually really take a nebulous idea and connect you with the right people like Maxi, AWS, Deloitte, Planet. And we can not only provide you the data, but also the mentorship, which will help you build out that idea. I think another thing that was would really resonate with this group as well is we're currently working with WDC, who are a whale and dolphin conservation charity. And we're helping them figure out how they can use satellite technology to track and monitor whale populations, which again, very, very suitable to this challenge. And I think that shows the type of energy in the market around this space. So blue carbon, blue economy, how can we preserve marine life and protect it? Because it's so, so valuable, not just from a nature perspective, but also from the amount of carbon that's sequestered by whales and dolphins throughout their lifetime as well. And I think, as Deloitte Ventures, we're very, very excited. We're very, very excited by all this kind of new and edge innovation technology. But that's not just to say that that's a ventures thing. We're hearing this with our clients day in, day out. They're wanting to run accelerators with us. They're wanting us to go and do scans in the market for this type of technology. And the Climate Change Studio, where I specifically work, is only a year old. And the amount of energy and excitement that we've seen in the past year has been tremendous. There are new teams setting up all over the place, both internally at Deloitte and with our clients. And I think that should really inspire you to see that, this isn't just an accelerator program. There's a huge demand in the market, both public and private, for these types of technologies. So this is the first step to a very, very exciting future. So I'm now going to hand over to Mark Richardson, who is an account executive at Planet.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are absolutely thrilled as Planet to be participating in the hackathon, Hack the Planet hackathon, and very excited to see what you are able to achieve with our data, fundamentally because this resonates directly to why Planet was created in the first place, which was to have a positive impact on humanity. So in addition to describing the data that we're going to be making available to you here today and our constellation. I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the examples of where our data have been used around the world from an environmental and economic climate perspective. But fundamentally, the data that we're going to be providing as part of this hackathon here, we want to see what applications you're able to create from that, and we're also going to be able to help you. So in addition to providing data, we're going to be providing access to our expert consultants, our professional services team, who will be able to support you in integrating our data and also creating your applications. But we're quite unique in the market, and it's great to see that we've got a variety of different partners that are participating in this, because Planet stands out in our ability to image the entire landmass of the planet every single day. We have the largest constellation of Earth observation satellites in humanity. We have over 200 on orbit today. We have PlanetScope, which is our daily scanning capability, provides you with the ability to see everything on the landmass every single day at 3-meter resolution. And also we have a second constellation of 21 satellites, which is a tasked capability at 50 centimeters, provided through our SkySat constellation. Clicking onto our next slide, see here in terms of some of the logistics of what we've got made available to you. PlanetScope is always on. It's a scanning capability. So as the planet, as you saw in the last video, rotates underneath it, PlanetScope collects the image, beams it back to Earth, and you have it available to you pretty much the next day. And we can talk you through some of the bands that we've got. We've evolved the generations of doves over the years. PlanetScope is made up of individual satellites called doves, and the super doves are the latest to have been launched. Over half of our constellation today on orbit is made up of super doves, and hopefully in a second I'll explain to you why they're special. SkySat is over 21, as I said before, tasked assets. We're going to be making available to all of you who apply our PlanetScope constellation, so you'll have access to the data provided through there. Because we image every single day, we're able to create monthly, quarterly, and annual base maps. We're making those available to teams. We'll also be making available our daily collections, as well as Sentinel, which is the Copernicus satellites to supplement that data set. And a lot of companies, a lot of technology companies produce applications and algorithms using the Sentinel data sets because they're freely available at point of delivery. And our constellation complements that perfectly because we've aligned our spectral bands to align with Sentinel-2. So if you've developed algorithms using Sentinel, then they will directly apply to the data that we collect through the PlanetScope constellation. The super doves that we've just been launching over the course of the last 12 months, of which there are well over 60 on orbit today, 48 of which were launched in January of this year, will be collecting in 8 bands. Today, however, we're only making available 5 bands. We're still commissioning the doves, super doves at the moment. We hope to have, maybe through the course of the hackathon, the 8 band available as well. So in addition to red, green and blue, we also have coastal blue and a number of other near-infrared and red edge, which are really important for looking at environmental change. If you're looking at understanding what's happening in terms of chlorophyll content, health of crops, those sorts of things are absolutely essential. We've got some great examples of how our data has been used, and a lot of you might be familiar with the Allen Coral Atlas, which maps the entire world's coral reefs every single day, provides you with an up-to-date understanding of what's happening, something that's absolutely unique and enables people not only to be able to look at bleaching events, but to also be able to provide information from an ecologist perspective as to where they should be focusing attention and how they should be regrowing that. We've done that in partnership rather with Vulcan, which is a US philanthropic organization. And I know that certainly the Commonwealth Secretariat are familiar with this data set and how it's used across the Commonwealth small islands. We've also got a partnership with the Norwegian government where our data is made available to monitor deforestation over the equatorial regions. Because we provide daily imagery, we're able to monitor these events as they occur. And fundamentally, when you're looking at areas, for example, in South America, where a lot of the deforestation is occurring due to drugs cartel activity, landing airplanes in, you want to be able to catch them very quickly to stop them and to be able to incarcerate their equipment. And because we collect so frequently, we're able to monitor that and alert authorities to when that event actually occurs. So really, I want to emphasize the temporal aspect to our data set that is unique and provides, I think, a wide variety of different applications that it can be developed upon. One other last example here is the California Forest Observatory, which we've produced with the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, another US philanthropy, that provides an understanding in California of areas of risk for wildfires, enabling authorities to be able to react and plan and model to enable them to be able to mitigate the effects of forest fires on the population, and hopefully to be able to eradicate them in the long term. The last three examples I gave, not only are they examples of how our data are being used from an environmental perspective, but they're also public goods. So actually we make these data through those organizations available publicly, so that they can be developed without charge at point of delivery. So those are three great examples. I really am excited about the possibilities of what you're going to do with our data. Look forward to seeing the output of that over the course of the next few months. Look forward to your questions as well. I'll be hanging around for the Q&A. But in the meantime, I'm going to be handing over to Tim Pynchon at the Space Applications Catapult, who heads their marketing there. The Space Applications Catapult, who will explain, I'm sure, but it's a very unique company that supports other organizations to be able to use and benefit from space services. So Tim, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. That's great. And I just want to add my thanks to those of Nick and Lucy, two sponsors who are in attendance today. So thank you to Amazon Web Services, Deloitte, Maxar and Planet, who are going to bring so much to this competition. I'm going to take us through some of the elements of the competition that are yet to come, so the timeline for the future. But before I do that, I just wanted to highlight 2 points that Nick mentioned in his introduction. So firstly, we've extended the closing date for entries to the competition to the 11th of June. And this 2-week extension would give you more time if you need it to join the competition. And if you were thinking about putting in an entry or registered for the competition at the website, which is hacktheplanetcompetition.com, but didn't get round to finalizing your entry for any reason, there's now time to go back and take another look at that entry. And remember, we're not looking for fully formed solutions. We're looking for the best ideas, and the best ideas often come from the least likely sources. So just don't hold back when submitting your entry. And if you are thinking about putting in an entry, Nick also mentioned that we've been able to increase the prize pool for the competition. So I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about that as well. But through the generosity of sponsors here on the call, we're delighted to be able to have increased the cash prize pool for the competition to £20,000, but with an additional $85,000 worth of satellite data and cloud computing services to be split between the winner and 2 runners-up. So this is an enormous prize now for this first year of this competition. This new prize pool will be split to award £10,000 as a cash prize to the winner of the competition, plus a really generous allowance of satellite data and cloud computing services worth over $45,000. Second and third prizes will receive £5,000 each, and also take a share of over $40,000 worth of satellite data and cloud services. So a really significant prize, and full details of how the new prize breaks down can be found on the competition website. So please go and take a look. And like I said, if you had any hesitation about entering the competition before, please don't hold back. You have a week and a half left to enter the competition, and you may well be lucky enough to win one of those prizes. So I'm going to move on now to the remaining timeline for the competition. So what happens once you enter? So first of all, when you enter, we'll ask you to tell us about your idea and how it relates to the Commonwealth Blue Charter and how it might use data or connectivity from satellites. And we want to know what you'll do if you win the competition, how we can support you to turn your ideas into a winning concept between now and October. Don't forget, you can either complete an online form to enter, which is on the competition website, or if you prefer, we're also accepting entries by video. So don't worry about how advanced or developed your ideas are. at this stage, we're looking for ideas with promise, new ways of thinking about the challenges and innovations for the future. Really, no idea is a bad idea. So get those ideas and those submissions in. After you've entered, a panel of reviewers will take all the entries and review them and select 30 teams to participate in the next stages. And at this stage, if you have similar ideas to another team, or you obviously have sort of complementary strengths, we might invite you to team up with other participants so you can work together on your ideas. The teams who have selected to go forward will then participate in 2 months of knowledge exchange activities during July and August. And lots of our sponsors on the call today have talked about their involvement with those, with that program. But this program's entirely virtual, and it'll feature sessions from ocean satellite experts, along with business strategists, user-centered designers, and pitching experts. And at the end of the 2 months, we're going to have helped you understand the challenges you are trying to solve in more detail and given you the support to hone your ideas into a really powerful pitch for the final stage of the competition. There'll also be a lot of opportunities to network with fellow participants and make lasting connections around the Commonwealth with our sponsors and mentors. And then moving on from the Knowledge Exchange programme, on the 3rd of September, you'll submit final pitches to a panel of judges. And on the 22nd of September, the judges will shortlist 6 teams to go forward to pitch at the final live event, which is on the 14th of October. At this event, these teams will present their concepts live in front of an audience from around the world. And one team will be selected by the judges of the winner of Hack the Planets, and there will be a second and a third place team selected as well. And so I'd like to wish you really good luck if you're entering, or if you've already entered the competition. We're really looking forward to seeing the great ideas that this competition will bring forward. And that brings an end to the formal part of the session today. But there is a chance now to ask any questions of the Satellite Applications Catapult, the Commonwealth Secretariat, or any of the 4 organisations that have joined us today. And if you do have any questions, please use the functionality in Zoom and open the question and answer panel, which is in the bottom bar on your screen, and type in your question. And if I could invite our participants to turn on their videos at this stage, that would be great. While we're waiting to see what could come through the question panel, I have a couple of questions which I'd like to ask. And first of all, I'm going to turn to Mark and just asking Mark, when you're thinking about Hack the Planet in this first year, in your sort of wildest dreams, what are you hoping to see from competition entrants in this sort of first ever year of Hack the Planet? What does successful look like?
Well, do you know, a great question, Tim. It's a really exciting year for climate, because clearly we have COP26 in November, which is the 5-year point from the Paris Accords, and a significant moment, I think, globally for us to be able to focus on tackling climate change. And I think a lot of people who are far more knowledgeable about this than I see this as something of a seminal moment. So I think that we've got a significant opportunity with us here. I think that throughout the membership of the Commonwealth and the people that are engaged with this particular activity, the oceans in particular are a specific concern for most of those who are involved in climate science, not only to be able to monitor those enormous carbon sinks that were mentioned on the call earlier, in particular mangroves and seagrasses, and some of the initiatives that I hear being driven internationally to be able to develop those, hearing initiatives of being able to grow seagrass and be able to harvest them, fundamentally to be underpinned by Earth observation data, I think is absolutely essential. So I'm really keen to see where the output for Earth observation informs decisions far quicker than has happened before. And I think that traditionally Earth observation has been used to track things that have happened in the past. What data that's available now can enable us to be able to do is to be able to see what's happening today and to be able to plot that into the future. And I think that's the really important thing, is that proactive nature. So I'm really excited on that front to see how what you're going to do with the data will enable that proactive activity to combat climate change.
That's fantastic. And I'd really like to ask Lucy the same question, actually, about what great entries, what this competition has a potential to do this first year.
Yeah, I completely agree with Mark's comment about that future-looking approach. You know, we struggle to know what the right answer is a lot of the time with the climate. And if anyone is on the call who comes from a system engineering background, we know that the bigger the system is, the harder it is to really know the effect of each intervention, because you can't switch everything else off. You can't say, well, I'm just going to change this today and see what happens to the planet, because everything's changing all the time. And I think the special piece that you get from space technology is that you can see the whole planet in a different way from how you can see it through any other means. So what I'd love us to be able to do with Hack the Planet is connect people who don't normally have a connection with space data, to use that data in a way that addresses some challenges that perhaps people in the space industry know nothing about. And if we can bring that link between different thinkers, different mentalities, different countries, different ages, then I think we're going to get some really, really exciting solutions. As to which solutions they are, I'm really very open. There's going to be better people coming up with better ideas than me, but that idea about looking across completely different ways of thinking is what I'm hoping for.
That's great. Thank you very much, Lucy. I can see a couple of questions have come in, which hopefully we can answer fairly quickly. But I just wanted to come to Clive and Hayley as well and ask about global sustainability and climate change in the year of COP26 and what those mean for AWS. Clive, coming to you first in the year of COP26.
Well, of course, climate and the protection of the environment is so important to Amazon, being one of the signatories of Climate Pledge and our commitment to renewable energy. We put a lot of effort into using renewable energy in our data centers and making sure that we continue to innovate. And that of course is passed on to any users of cloud computing. So an initiative like this, where we're looking at the planet and how we can help climate change and reduce the effects that we're having on the climate by using cloud technology, we're also helping that initiative as well.
Excellent. And Hayley, what does this year mean to you?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's been more of a focus on trying to increase more usage of our open data program, where when there's a disaster, it's often like a natural disaster, which is caused by climate change, that we're giving access to that content immediately and for free via our website. So for those biggest use cases where it's the most important, it is available to all. They're making more access and people more knowledge that everyone knows about that access as well.
Thank you, Hayley. So there's a couple of questions which hopefully I can answer actually in the question and answer panel, which is a question around edits after submission for the competition. So if you've submitted to the competition, you are able to edit your submission up until the closing date. So now the closing date has been extended, you'll be able to edit up until that closing date. And there's a second question as well from Adam Page about how much room is there for more general EO data applications that cover all the remits outlined. So I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean by the question, but I will say that if your idea that you want to submit talks about ocean and it talks about satellite data, whatever it contains, we are very happy to receive it. So hopefully that will give you the sort of that'll give you the power and strength to go ahead and submit your entry if you are going to. There's a question about what the competition is about, so I encourage you to visit hacktheplanetcompetition.com, where you will find all the information there. And I'm wondering if I could come to Nick actually. So we've had a question from Helen about because it's related to the Commonwealth and wondering about how the technologies that we're talking about here can really change environment and lives of poor nations of the Commonwealth, and providing equal opportunities for people of the Commonwealth. So I wonder if I could ask you to take that question, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, and thanks, Helen. It's a great question, because this is really what Hack the Planet's all about. It's about leveling up. It's about trying to make sure that wherever you are in the world, your ideas are heard, because we're not going to solve the climate crisis, the ocean crisis, the biodiversity crisis unless we're hearing from everybody. So there needs to be more listening to your experiences, your challenges, but also your solutions. And that's what we want to really get here. We also then want to, bring that opportunity for engagement across a broad group of people with ideas, because it's by bouncing ideas off each other and working together from across the world that we're going to bring different experiences and different ideas together into developing those scalable solutions that we need at a planetary scale. And to do that leveling up, we need to have that access to the technologies, the data, the resources that might just reside in more developed countries at the moment. But how do the rest of the world get access to those? So that again is part of the ethos behind Hack the Planet, is by trying to bring these resources together so wherever you are in the world, they can be made available to you. And this is a small step in that direction. We know that, but I feel this is the approach that's needed, and hopefully we're going to sort of show how this approach of working together across the Commonwealth can really sort of help level up and bring the right solutions that we need that are going to work across the whole world.
Can I just add to that, Nick? Because I totally agree with you that fundamentally this is an opportunity. There are so many different problems that contribute to combating climate change that actually I think also provide business opportunity. And we're seeing that from a finance perspective, there are potential implications in carbon trading. There's a great opportunity within the Commonwealth to look at how carbon trading can occur. And that needs to be underpinned by data, because you need to firstly understand how many of those assets you have available. You need to be able to understand where they are. You need to understand what risk they have against them. And that then enables the markets to be able to use them as a basis for trading. So there's significant benefits to companies that can provide solutions to finance the finance industry to be able to do that. And I think that where I see our data providing that basis to build businesses upon, there's great opportunity within the Commonwealth to be able to do that. I would also say that there was a question about leveling up and making data available. Planet was built to democratize access to our data, and we have a variety of different means of being able to do that. And the NICFI example that I provided is one such example where for very specific use cases, our data has been made available as a public good. So you will find that there are parts of the world where you can already access some of our data through the NICFI program. You can apply for that data. It doesn't cover everywhere, but certainly if you're in the equatorial region and you're building something that aligns to the deforestation effort, then the data can be made available to you from that. So there is a fantastic opportunity, I think, here, and look forward to seeing what comes of it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nick and Mark. I will wrap it up. There were a couple of questions left around some of the eligibility and other criteria for entering the competition. So I'll just encourage you again, please visit hacktheplanetcompetition.com website. Nick, did you want to add something?
So there's a question come in about do we also give opportunities for ideas related to energy and regarding the ocean? Obviously, this is an ocean-focused competition, but we're really addressing SDG 13, which is climate change, SDG 14, which is the ocean, and SDG 7, which is renewable energy or sustainable energy for all. So, we really want to bring all these threads together because they're all parts of the same jigsaw that we've got to tackle each of them if we're going to get to this position of really addressing the climate crisis. So, yeah, absolutely, energy's in there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nick. Well, that brings an end to our event this lunchtime in the UK. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Amazon Web Services, Deloitte, Maxar and Planet. Thank you for participating in the Q&A. And we look forward to seeing entries from participants on the call today. Please get your entries in before the 11th of June. And thank you very much. That brings the session to an end today. Goodbye.